Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority. Regular meeting, cross session will start January 19, Tuesday, 5:46. Call to order, roll call.
Mayor Kim,
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Castro,
Here.
Councilmember Real,
Here.
Councilmember Hurtado, Councilmember John Moreno is absent. We have quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Okay, public comments for the closed session. Do we have anybody submitted? Public comment for the closed session? No? Okay, thank you, but we still have to read it. Huh? Do we have to read it in case if nobody's? Okay, then we're gonna skip that. Agenda closed session, or closed session of the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority may be held in accordance with state law, which may include it, but is not limited to the following type of the items: personal matters, labor negotiations, security matters, providing instructions to real property negotiators, and the conference with legal counsel regarding pending litigation. The closed session will be held in the City Hall Conference Room located 608 Kiva Avenue, Calexico, California. Any public comment on closed session item will be taken before the closed session. Any required announcement or discussion of closed session item or acting following the closed session will be made in the City Council Chambers, 608 Kiva Avenue, Calexico, California. Closed session number 1, public employee appointments. Title, Interim Chief of the Police, Government Code 54957B. Number 2, public employee performance evaluation. Title, Acting City Manager, Government Code 54957B. As Mr. Finley, is that notified to Mr. Gomez to his attending meeting?
He will be attending the regular meeting,
Regular
yes.
meeting?
Yes.
And maybe he can be, when we close session, would you call them to, in case if you need to call him in?
Yes, I can.
Please. Okay, we're gonna go to closed session, join the closed session to 5:48. (6:30) Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority regular meeting will start January 19, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. will start the meeting. And call to orders. Call to order, yeah.
Mayor Kim,
Yes?
Mayor Pro Tem Castro,
Here.
Councilmember Real,
Here.
Councilmember Hurtado. Here. Councilmember Moreno is absent today. We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we have a pledge of allegiance. Mr. Romero, would you lead us to the pledge of allegiance? Thank you, Mr. Romero. Invocation, I believe we don't have it. The closed session announcements.
No reportable actions taken.
Thank you, Mr. Hargreaves. Approval agenda. I believe city manager wants to.
Nobody is here to do invocation?
No,
No? Mr. Benhorn, maybe you want to, you're
it's already.
a
already
Mormon
passed.
priest, I believe.
Already passed. Okay, so in the approval agenda,
Mayor, we had a request to move item number 11 to 7A.
between 7 and 8?
Yes, number 11 up to
After finish the
7A.
7.
After 7.
Okay, thank you, sir. We requested by the city manager to remove the agenda number 11 to after, taking care of after 7. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
To move the 11,
11 and 8, right?
yeah, before the 8, taking care of before the 8.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to move 11.
Motion made
Right.
by the Mr. Leal,
Second.
second by the Mr. Castro. If any discussion, we're gonna vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 4-0. So announcements. These proceeding may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexicocalifornia.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Presentations. Recognition presented to the City Calexico High School Lady Bulldogs volleyball team, CIF SDS volleyball champions 2015. Would you, Mr. Castro, would you would you help me to give me the certifications? Before we do any, after we do the certifications, I'd like to have some, so if any coaches wants to talk, so we can have that time.
Are any of the coaches here from the volleyball? Yeah, I think I see one here. No? He's just being modest.
Before we give them the recognitions and certifications, I believe my fellow council members would like to share with our great team. So would you, after you receive the certification, would you shake the hands with our fellow council members too, together? Okay, Claudia Maeda, the head coach. Is not here? What about the Evelyn Escobar? Is it here? The team that didn't come? There's some here. Okay. Oh, this is coming? Okay, then Evelyn Escobar, assistant coach. Is not here yet? The Luz Martinez. Okay. Andrea Quiroz. Juana Gutierrez.
The
Juana Gutierrez. Isn't come yet? Okay. The other person is Sofia Martinez. Perla Escobar. Aileen Martinez. Anisa Ramirez. Nicole Lira.
Congratulations.
Claudia Garcia. Not coming in. Yaini Liang. Kayla Rubio. Oh, okay. Natalia Pacheco. Another basketball player. Okay, thank you. As we're gonna wait a little longer for in case they come in, so we can present it again. If not, we're gonna give the team member to they can present to their own coach. Okay, thank you. Now number 4, presentation by Carmen Estrada for the Calexico Parents Athletic League. Every presentation we give the 15 minutes.
Buenas tardes a todos. Soy Carmen Estrada, fundadora y organizadora del programa del CIPAL. Gracias por darnos esta oportunidad de hacer esta pequeña presentación aquí ante nuestros coaches y los voluntarios del programa del CIPAL. Íbamos a hacer una presentación en fotos, pero lo vamos a hacer verbal. Tenemos 15 minutos y es demasiado lo que hemos trabajado y pues lo vamos a hacer verbal, porque es como 30 minutos, no lo hacemos. Entonces, primeramente quiero decirles que la Liga de CIPAL se ha encargado de sembrar 200 árboles en 7 parques, que es Daniel Gutiérrez, Quinta y Andrade, Camila y Andrade, Holdrich y Andrade y Casitas. Nosotros ahorita como organización tenemos 2 meses que estamos inactivos, que no tenemos los deportes, porque primeramente nosotros antes de salir de vacaciones estuvo 2-3 semanas inundado el parque Daniel Gutiérrez. Luego se empezaron las lluvias y apenas tenemos 3 días participando en este deporte. Son casi 1000 niños inactivos. Estamos muy preocupados porque no tenemos un parque nosotros. Estamos ahorita en zona de emergencia. Entonces nosotros como organización estamos pidiendo a la ciudad de Calexico a ustedes que nos autoricen de estar en el parque Adrián Córdoba por 2 días para jugar, que es jueves y viernes. Tenemos 1000 niños, más o menos alrededor de 1000 niños y todos los deportes por lo general tienen un parque y el soccer no tiene parque, son puros desagües. Entonces estoy muy preocupada. Tenemos 5 más bien años que adoptamos el Parque Córdoba. Hemos querido trabajar, el cual no se ha podido por una cosa u otra. Estamos para ayudar y unirnos a salir adelante. Y ojalá pues nos aprueben lo que estamos pidiendo aquí a ustedes. Quiero también comentarles que la Liga del CIPAL trajo un proyecto muy grande aquí a Calexico, Quinti Andrade. Es un proyecto muy grande que fue las luces, que fue el IID, la Unión de Electricistas, y ustedes, la ciudad de Calexico, que estamos trabajando en conjunto en un proyecto muy grande que ya debería de verse inaugurado en octubre, el cual no lo hemos logrado. Ya parece ser que falta de $3,000 a $4,000 para terminar este proyecto. Es un proyecto pues muy grande, de $100 y tantos mil, que toda la organización de CIPAL lo está haciendo en conjunto con ustedes, porque si ustedes no nos ayudan a continuar, pues no crecemos. Entonces nosotros somos una organización que trabajamos, somos personas que tenemos educación, principios, no formamos guerra, estamos muy tranquilos y venimos a pedirles que se nos dé ese parque para jugar. Entonces, también tenemos visita para el 28 y 29 de enero. Vienen los técnicos del Atlas, más bien de México. Es un selectivo de 3 niños de cada estado de México que organizan el selectivo del Atlas, que estamos hablando casi de 80 niños que vienen aquí a participar en Calexico, que es en marzo. Pero la invitación se hace 26, 27 y 28 de enero. Entonces, pues estamos preocupados porque tenemos que tener un parque bien. Nosotros fuimos invitados de honor a San Diego, fue el 19 de diciembre. Entonces, ellos vieron el potencial que tenemos nosotros como organización, la capacidad de los niños. Entonces, de hecho, les ganamos a un equipo que traían ellos. Entonces, por eso es que ellos vienen a seleccionar niños sin un costo alguno. Ellos si seleccionan niños para llevárselos, no va a haber ni un costo alguno. Se les va a donar todo a los niños. Entonces, quiero, por favor, que se apruebe lo que nosotros estamos pidiendo con todo respeto a ustedes. Y luego también quiero darle gracias a todos los coaches, a los voluntarios, que están más bien aquí con nosotros apoyándonos. Y también quiero darle gracias a los bomberos que nos dieron unas clases de CPR y no tuvo un costo alguno, que eso es para preparar a nuestros voluntarios, a nuestros coaches, cómo se debe de llevar a cabo darle un auxilio a un niño. Entonces, también eso queremos darle gracias a ustedes, porque por ustedes tuvimos esa plática, ¿verdad? Entonces, pues ahorita voy a entregar unos certificados. Yo sé que hay mucha gente que nos ha ayudado, pero es muy corto el tiempo para entregar certificados a todas las personas, pero de hecho yo quiero darle gracias a las personas que han confiado en nosotros y a las personas que no confían, pues también gracias por todo el trabajo que hemos hecho y que se nos valora. Entonces quiero darle gracias a una persona que cuando fundamos el programa, pues confió en nosotros y sigue creyendo en el programa, que es María Bravo. Ella es la persona que nos ayuda con el papeleo, la secretaria del programa. Tenemos 2, Brenda Briceño y ella, y la verdad, yo estoy muy orgullosa de María Bravo, que está al 100% con este programa. También quiero felicitar a Diego Romero. Diego Romero es una persona que también ha estado con nosotros el 100% en el programa. Son personas que no nos han dejado a nosotros en ningún momento. Luego a Verónica Toscano. Verónica Toscano trabaja en el Departamento de Salud. Trabajamos en conjunto con los niños que ella trabaja, nos los refiere al programa y han salido adelante los niños, son todo un éxito. El Departamento de Salud está trabajando con el programa. Gracias, Verónica. Bueno, tenemos como 90 coaches. Yo sé que es muy, pues muy largo para entregarle los certificados a cada uno de los coaches, pero se los voy a dar individual ahorita, pero todos ustedes para mí son grandes, porque sin ustedes no somos nadie. Yo quiero agradecerle, coaches, a ustedes porque nunca nos han dejado abajo. Nosotros sí somos por ustedes. Ustedes son unas personas con educación, con principios, que nunca alzan la voz, que si lo dicen, me lo dicen a mí. Y yo vengo aquí con Nick y estamos trabajando en conjunto y eso pues me enorgullece de que estemos con disciplina y principios. Y también quiero darle gracias a Marixa, el señor King, Castro, Armando, Nick, gracias porque yo sé que de donde están nos están apoyando. Yo estoy segura y tengo fe en ustedes que están con nosotros. Entonces es un programa muy humilde, sin dinero, porque el programa, cada equipo controla su dinero humildemente. El arbitraje lo controla cada coach. Los uniformes lo controla cada coach. Cada equipo tiene 3 personas, que es la mamá voluntaria, que es la tesorera y es la secretaria. Ellas 3 controlan el dinero, que es lo que llevamos nosotros a cabo el programa. Y yo soy la señora que cuando salimos fuera, que hemos salido fuera y hemos traído primeros lugares, pues soy la que pues pido ayuda, ¿verdad? Para el camión, para el hotel, para todos lo que nosotros ocupamos, que es bastante, ¿verdad? Llevamos de 80 a 90 niños a torneos y traemos los primeros lugares, somos reconocidos a nivel estado y a nivel nacional e internacional. Entonces, eso es grande para Calexico. Hay coaches que a mí, aquí se los quiero decir, coaches, me dicen, señor Estrada, por favor, estamos desesperados por los parques, hay hoyos, hay esto, hay acá. Y pues yo, hay veces sí me altero porque con ellos no, aquí. ¿Por qué? Porque es una desesperación tener los parques con hoyos y los niños se nos pueden lastimar y es una responsabilidad para nosotros, para mí, porque soy la cabeza y los coaches preocupados por sus niños. Entonces, parece ser que esta vez sí se está trabajando. Estoy viendo más resultado que antes, más que estamos trabajando mejor. Y ojalá, Nick, que tú eres la persona, y discúlpame que te lo diga, porque así es, Nick, y yo soy muy clara, y se lo digo adelante de los coaches. Yo no me voy a tentar el corazón para decirte lo que te tengo que decir. Tú eras una persona que me iba, y disculpen, pero lo tengo que decir, Nick era una persona que me iba a parar los proyectos de los que yo tenía aprobados, como el cerco de Daniel Córdoba. Me amarraban las porterías para que no jugaran los niños, me inundaban el parque. Fueron muchas injusticias para mí como persona. Los coaches desesperados en la orilla de las banquetas y viendo el agua. Eso fue inhumano, todo lo que nos hicieron. Entonces, la verdad, yo nunca había hablado, pero por cosas que me han pasado a mí personal, yo les digo, y discúlpeme, yo te quiero decir, Nick, que si tú no eras la persona que nos hacías eso, te invito a que nos agarremos de la mano y trabajemos y me demuestres que no eras tú. Es todo lo que te puedo pedir. Gracias.
Gracias. You have some question?
Sí, yo personalmente quiero darle las gracias a los entrenadores, a los coaches, por esa atención que le dan a los jóvenes, a los niños, a los padres, por tener esa decisión de apoyar a sus hijos, por representar a Calexico, y a todos los que participan en este CPAO. Yo he estado aquí en la ciudad de Calexico, en el Cabildo, por cerca de 8 años y he mirado cómo han trabajado, he mirado que han luchado día a día y para mí es un orgullo cuando ustedes van y compiten y vienen ganadores. y la verdad, pues han hecho muy buen trabajo. And also, I would like to give direction to City Manager. I believe I heard that there is 1,000 kids. They are not playing because there is a lack of parks. Will you please contact with the Recreation Department and look for, I believe, 1 or 2 days, right? You guys need 1 or 2 days in order to play with to teach the kids at the Córdoba, en el Córdoba, Adrián Córdoba Park. 2 días, okay. So will you please think, can you look for 2 days, trying to work with the Recreation Department and in order to make it happen? And also, excuse me, and also I would like to hear from you an update on the 5th and Andrade. Can you give us an update on that?
First of all, I've already spoken to the Recreation Department. They'll be working with Mrs. Estrada to accommodate her those 2 days during her league, so they're aware of it, and that's already in place. 2, on the 5th and Andrade retention basin, the lighting, we have currently ordered the rest of the material. Hopefully the material will be here within the next week or 2, so then we can finish up that project and have it in phase.
Pues ya oyeron, se está trabajando. Para mí, Nick es una persona accesible, es una persona que quiere que las cosas sucedan. Hay que trabajar con él, que tener paciencia, porque sí hay muchos detalles, muchos proyectos que se tienen que apoyar, pero se está trabajando. Gracias.
I have a question right now. We've always had, some shifts going on there in the scheduling of our resources as far as parks. I know that at one point you were the one that was organizing that, and then we switched over to the recreation department. And so at this given point, who is the person that she's supposed to be coordinating the use of our resources at this point? Who actually has that schedule?
Jamie Shu, who is our recreation coordinator at the Recreation Department.
Mr. Finley, council, I believe about more than a year ago, we approved the use of the agreement with the school districts. So every people who using our basin, especially basin, in case of the water flood, they could use some of the schools' playground. Would you check with that plan? Do they already have a MOU with the city school districts?
Yes, we
The
can.
city?
It's in place, but we can check on that.
So I believe that we've been have a MOU signed between school district and the city, and city sports group activities they have assigned for the in case of something happens, earthquake or the water flood, they can use some other the school facility afternoon. So I believe that you need to check with Mr. Finley with MOU about that, so you can claim to let them have a play with some of the schools playground was assigned it.
He's the one who coordinates.
Mr. Castro told me that Mr. Romero was coordinating all the plan.
No, I've been asking. I didn't say.
No, that would be the case. We do have personnel that would coordinate that with you. You may start at the maintenance and operation department. I'm sure they would have.
Okay, so Mr. Finley to contact with the list first, and then contact with the school district. They can use that facility.
Will do.
Go ahead, Mr. Alea.
Bueno, pues yo quiero, debo hablar en español, ¿está bien? Yo quiero felicitar a todos ustedes porque el CIPA pues realmente es primeramente el soccer en Calexico como que no le ponemos la atención que realmente se merece. En el fútbol americano, en otros deportes que quedamos como quien dice en último lugar, les damos mucho más atención que el soccer. Y les quiero comentar también que pues yo aquí en el Cabildo pues soy el rookie, ¿no? Tengo apenas un año más o menos, pero la verdad es que nos debe dar vergüenza, porque primeramente lo que ustedes no están jugando no son parques. Señora Estrada, ahí la voy a corregir poquito. Ese es un desagüe. Ese es algo que yo creo que si hacen un chequeo de la tierra esa, yo creo que está hasta contaminada donde están jugando nuestros hijos, porque mis hijos también han jugado en el programa, y nos debe dar vergüenza que no tengamos ni un parque como la gente en esta ciudad de Calexico. El dinero se ha gastado, ahora sabemos que estamos hasta 1,5 millones negativo, y pues la verdad les hemos fallado, no, que es más que la verdad. Estamos aquí para apoyarlos, pero la verdad nos debe dar vergüenza que ustedes tengan que estar no nomás en un parque de desagüe, pero ahora 2. Le vamos a poner luces a otro desagüe cuando no deben de estar jugando ahí. Debemos de tener un parque para ustedes, y pues la verdad les quiero decir de corazón que estamos aquí para apoyarlos, pero estamos tratando de hacer lo que podemos, pero yo apenas tengo 1 año, andamos dando vueltas apenas ahí, pero gracias a todos, Dios me los bendiga.
Señor Estrada, nada más para agregarle felicidades a todos. Sí, más o menos escuchó usted lo que le estábamos explicando de que cuando hay un atoro en lo que viene siendo la disponibilidad de las propiedades, que nosotros como ciudad tenemos un entendido con el distrito escolar, donde también nos prestan ciertas playgrounds or whatever. So hay que acudir también a esas opciones cuando exista. Okay, no sé si escuchó usted eso. Y eso entonces ya existe el entendido, entonces simplemente saber cómo acudirlo y cuándo y con quién.
De hecho, yo lo hago y gracias a Dios.
¿Ya lo hace?
tengo el apoyo del distrito escolar.
Excelente, ok.
De muchos años.
Ok.
Y lo estoy haciendo.
Ok, igualmente.
Ok, para el alcalde de Calexico, disculpar con comunidad, porque muchos anteriores del concilio que probaron proyectos de casa sin parque. Por eso todos ustedes, niños de con nosotros, jugando donde está water basin contaminados. Necesita hacerle una ordenancia que obligara, no puede perdonar para el parque. Cuando haciendo un proyecto de casa nueva, debe estar tenerlo parque ya listo para la comunidad. Buscamos una manera para hacer una ordenancia que más a futuro, en ningún proyecto que puede probar sin parque. Okay. I think we have to conclude it. Muchas gracias, Ms. Estrada, and especially muchas gracias a padres que ustedes dedicando con sus hijos. Su hijo va a aprender de cómo cuidando a sus hijos del futuro. Gracias. Now we have a public comment and the public appearance. Before we go there, is there any more football, volleyball team came? Coach came? Okay, so we're gonna do before the public comment.
Who's going to take a picture? El Mario con.
Recognition certificate present to the Claudia Maeda, head coach, for your commitment and outstanding achievement with the Calexico High School Lady Bulldog volleyball team and successfully obtaining the 2015 CIF SDS Volleyball Championship. June Kim, January 19, 2016.
Okay, so I'll be brief, since I got my number 2 over there. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to give us this recognition. We really do appreciate it. I'm sorry on behalf of, I only have 1/4 of my team here. A lot of them are doing extracurricular activities, basketball and stuff like that. So thank you so much. We are very proud of being the first back-to-back champions. So, can't think. We're very proud to be representing Calexico High School and the community. We're very, very gracious of all the support we received from the city, from the community, from our administrators, our athletic director, and of course, my parents. So I want to thank you for the certificates. It's a very, very sweet gesture of all of you guys. And I hope we can continue to making the community proud. And thank you again for all your support. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Again. Congratulations for the winning of the championship, but I believe more than winning, our children learning how to achieve their goal. So they win their life. Thank you. The public comment and the public appearance. Note not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the city council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and the place of the residency for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. If the item you wish to comment on a closed session or consent item, please comment now. The city council is prohibited by state law from the taking action or discussing item not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to the item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and the comment to the city council. We have Ms. Garcia, do you have anybody presented it to wish to talk?
Joe Bielma. No public comment?
Okay, I have
Sure.
one person, the public comment. Subject for the EDC report, Mr. Benjamin Holton.
Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of the City Council, residents, business people of the City of Calexico. This is going to be a short little report from the Economic Commission for the City of Calexico. I just want to say that we are alive and we're moving forward. One of the things I'd like to point out is that last week we had a a binational meeting, which is the, let's say, the international economic side of the house. In the discussion, we talked about the new port of entry, how it's moving along. I shouldn't say new, expansion of the port of entry, and how it's moving along, and also the east port in reference to the possibility of utilizing toll alleyways for the transit part, which would be what the word says, toll. Another point that we talked about is that internationally we're going to move forward working together with the different municipalities and the city of Calexico to try to encourage more industry, light industry, and commercial development, and hopefully within the city of Calexico. Another point that I want to bring up, there is the private side of the house, and already we have a commitment to do a project depending on how it works out with San Diego, Mexicali, and the region in general. Another point that I want to bring out today, we had a meeting with GSA, and this was in reference to the downtown. We're looking to maybe revitalize a plan that we had in 2009. One of the situations that we have in reference to the downtown is that the owners or the landlords are out-of-city landlords. Sometimes they don't have the interest of the city, and they don't have an understanding what's going on in the city. We're hoping to change their thought process, and we do have some developers that are looking into buying part of the buildings in downtown, and what they talked about was to, let's say, vitalize the bottom part and then look to the new concept about setting up lofts. When I use the word lofts, where people would live. In other words, you would have people living downtown that would revitalize the downtown side of the house. And the outlook that it would move forward. Now, with the Economics Commission and the bid, we're looking to have every other month to start having joint meetings, not just to sit and have a, let's say, here we are, let's talk about it, but to make things that are viable that we could bring to the city council, and also look for other businesses, commercial businesses that would probably be wanting to come into downtown, and then start working with the owners of the particular businesses where we can move that forward. And that's what we're trying to do, is to revitalize the downtown. That ends my report. Is there any questions? I'm sure there's none. So we'll go from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Holton. If any public members to wish to talk? Okay, if we don't have it, then we're going to come to the council. To Mr. Leal, are you ready? Are you ready to talk? Council comment.
I'll be real quick. Just want to congratulate again the girls volleyball team to win the CIF championship is no small task, and 2 years in a row. Hopefully, it's 3 years next year. That would be great. And just to lay a little more on the city manager here, I think that we definitely have to get these parks going. I know Cordova looks like might have some funding there. I think it's imperative we start getting something done there, because our kids need it in the city of Calexico, and I think we owe it to the people to have something going pretty soon. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leal. Mr. Hurtado? Okay, Mr. Castro.
Well, basically, I'm concur with Mr. Real. I want to congratulate the volleyball players. They're doing a great job. That is something that we need to support definitely 100% for the kids, especially the young kids, and also young people, and also and related to the administration. I believe we have 100% support, and I know he's doing the right thing. He's moving forward on parks, and yes, we have a detention basin. We are using those right now, but there is some good issues coming related to the parks. We need to wait. I mean, I know it's hard, but I know with this new administration, it's gonna be benefit the city of Calexico. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Ms. Hurtado, ready?
Okay. Couple of things here. The responsibility I have besides being here on council is to attend the IV Transportation Commission. And I just gave you guys a flyer, and that is going to be a public hearing for elected officials. It's a briefing in our community, and it's going to be at the ICTC boardroom, which is at the Imperial County offices, and that's going to be on January 27th from 5 to 7, and that is actually a direct invitation. I know that they also sent us a direct invitation by email, so they definitely want you to be there, and it's a planning workshop to share your thoughts on the draft plan that's going on right now. And the ICTC covers a lot of different things, but mostly it's active in the transportation needs of Imperial County. The other thing that we just did last week was we continue to maintain our involvement in a binational group called the Imperial Mexicali Binational Alliance. They spoke a lot about, that day, a lot about the air quality in Calexico. Learned a little bit about that kind of issue that we have here so close to Mexicali. We maintain the constant meetings with this group. This group covers very important issues here in the valley and in Mexicali Valley, which is air quality, transportation, many different border issues, the border crossings, and it's a really, really important workshop to stay involved in since it's got such important things for all of us. They talked about some economic development issues coming up. I know that we have Mr. Ben Horton, who is my appointee, very involved in economic development. I know that economic development was part of our conversation today, so economic development is the name of the game for a city like ours right now. And I know that we've been talking, Mr. Horton and I, about the possibility of looking at, helping businesses here in Calexico, not only to understand the market, but how to go after that market with appropriate media and advertising and things like that. So I'm trying to help people to think out of the box right now, because I understand that we may be facing a new financial issue out here globally or nationally. And so we share our own issues here, and so economic development will tend to be one of the most important things we have to continue to have. And as a matter of fact, Mr. City Manager, we didn't have participation of Miss Julia that day, so when Julia is not available, just make sure that if we could have staff members there with us, because we don't want to let go of economic development and have that continuity. Let's see. On last Thursday also, we celebrated Hildy. Hildy Carrillo was Artist of the Month, and she had a great collection of her paintings at the Cultural Arts Center, and that was a lot of fun. Congratulations to Hildy. And last but not least, I'm an Águilas fan, and all of you know last night Águilas won 16 innings. I went to sleep at midnight or 1 o'clock almost, and it was the 13th inning, but I understand they went all the way to the 16th, so go Águilas. Thank you. Done.
Thank you, Ms. Hurtado. Okay, first of all, the Congratulations Arts and Culture Center, they have explosion last week, and we have still activities in the our city. So regardless of how hardship we have, we still to pursuing our life to in right path. And I'm glad we have some change, a turnaround to right path to fixing the city to do better. And also, I was attending the Martin Luther King community celebration for the Martin Luther King, remembering for the ceremonies. And the city of Calexico received the Imperial Valley Martin Luther King community from the flag, because we don't want the city Calexico for being first city in the Imperial Valley to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1978. So this is the flag for the city of Calexico. And the other one is, I'd like to see our two JPA committee members, Mr. Leal and Mr. Castro, pursuing to looking into the JPA money to providing the restroom for the kids and playing the basin areas, several places. I believe that they've been had the agreement to they're going to put in the agenda. So I wish they kept pursuing to bring that things into to public health and public benefit. And also, I believe yesterday I had to meet about 28 people come from Orange County, that investor groups, which is mostly real estate persons. They have about 20, 30 investors on their account. They're coming down to the Calexico to see what is going on there, what's possible to investing, including buy the buildings in the Calexico. And even they have some investor came together yesterday. I met them yesterday. I explained them how it is. So we'll see how they're going to come out. So we, council member, do diligence to work for the city and work for the future of the city. Sometimes we have bad things come out, but our council's duty is to working for the city of the future. Thank you. If they don't have any council members, I think everybody's talked.
I wanted to add something that I forgot, and maybe Maritza, Ms. Hurtado forgot as well, is on the meeting of the joint meeting with Mexicali and Calexico, and there's something brought up with this company called Constellation, which is going to be a $1.5 billion project in Mexicali, which is going to be Corona, Modelo, and a huge brewery that's going to bring a real boom to Mexicali, and in turn will hopefully help Calexico as well. I mean, anything that's good for Mexicali is good for Calexico. We live off them as far as the commerce goes. And as far as the JPA, I believe that me and Castro did bring up to JPA the restrooms, but then again, their attorney said that that's not, the monies cannot be allocated for that. That's what the JPA attorney, Heffernan attorney, told us as JPA members, just to give you information on that. And as far as investors, I think that's that's great that people want to invest in Calexico. I know that in the past there was some Korean investors that wanted to come into Calexico and do some investing. I hope that these investors could be sent to the right person, which would be Julio Osuna, the city manager, so that they can, get these investors going in the right direction and have them, leave their money in Calexico. We definitely need it. So that's it.
Thank you. I spoke with them too. One of the major issues, one of the very good point was beside what's called the commercial buildings, and the community needs a lot of apartments. There are apartments like almost 100% always been full, and people having trouble to get apartments. So if they can be done one by one person, probably several people together, consortium to build the big apartments, they will be able profitable and also to serve the community. And also, if they were willing to go to affordable housing, to maybe city can help them too. So we need a lot of low-income people. They need to have a place to stay in Calexico, and we don't have it. So we need working on the people who needs to stay in Calexico. That's that one of the part of the Calexico can expand, growing for the future. And also, I've been talking to them to Calexico or Valley. Actually, we need the blue collar jobs. That blue collar jobs investment is going to be future of the Calexico. The council member has to be looking to those kind of blue collar jobs creating. That's the real job for the Calexico. That money stays in Calexico. Thank you. Okay, I believe that we have a city manager report.
Good evening, members of the council and members of the audience. First of all, I'd like to inform you that the concrete slabs for the exercise equipment in the joint agreement that we have with Hefferman Memorial have been all laid and ready to go at the 3 locations, which is Cordova Park, Crummett Park, and Los Otros Park. So first part of next week, we're going to start installing the exercise equipment. The warning signs have not come in, but we're going to go ahead and start and then install those as they arrive, so we can go ahead with the project and get that done.
Will they be taped so they don't use them until the signs are up? So that way we don't have a, you know.
We could
somebody
always
hurt.
yellow tape them off and hopefully that they'll stay off of them until then.
That opens a city to a lawsuit in case, hey, the signs weren't up, and we used it, and, one question I had, the concrete slabs were done by the city, or were they contracted out?
City staff.
City staff, okay.
Correct. Good. Maybe that'll fall right into place as we go along. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, and the demo of the armory should be commencing next week, if I'm correct, right, Ralph? In about 2 weeks, so that project is going forth and should be cleaning up that eyesore that has become, and hopefully clean up that area. And
Will we
get
be
that
told
taken
what time so the explosions don't wake up people? It's gonna be.
The work will be during the day, and there won't be any explosions.
No explosions?
No explosions, sorry. And the last item I have is just to inform the public and those, the members of the council, starting tomorrow, we're going to start working on reverting 2nd Street back to one-way from west to east, from Pollen to Heber Avenue. That was, like we said, it was a pilot program, and the decision was made that the change was actually causing more chaos and more backing up of traffic waiting to get into a parking stall. So since it was a pilot program, we're going to go ahead and put it back to its original state. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Finley. I have some questions. One, why the delay the printer equipment there? What I understanding, we've been delivered the equipment already been there. So what's the reason to delay to install?
First of all, when the equipment was purchased and it finally arrived, we realized that these concrete slabs had to be a lot larger than expected. So there was, we had to call the dig alert, get the dig alert taken into consideration. We had to reroute some of the irrigation systems, so it took a little bit longer than expected.
Okay, thank you. And the other one is, you're talking about the one-way for the 2nd Street to going into the town?
Correct. It'll be
the
reverted
east.
back to the way it was.
Yeah. But is there any chance we can remove request the culture and remove the divider in between the 111? That, I think that dividing city, the east and west.
We can try and do that and talk to Caltrans. Maybe when the new port of entry is in and the Cesar Chavez becomes their thoroughfare, they may revert back to the city, and then we'll be able to do some changes that we can do without having to go through Caltrans authorization.
What about the before that? Is that not possible? Can you try?
We can try and see what they say.
Please. Thank you.
I just want to publicly ask, because I know the Little League, some people are here from the Little League that are involved, and we are going to hopefully get that sign up, right? The scoreboard up before Little League starts.
Yes, we'll be working on that.
All right. I don't know if it'll be turned on, but it'll be up there.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay, I think it'll be done. So we're going to go for the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the City Council, Calexico Community Redevelopment Agency, Success Agency, or Calexico Financing Authority, and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the City Council. Is there any council members to remove the discussion separately?
I make a motion to approve item 5 and 6 together.
So there's no motion to separate discussion? Okay,
nope.
Mr. Real was motion to approval 5 and 6. Second by Mr. Castro.
Aye.
Do you have a vote? Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Hurtado?
Nothing anymore? Aye.
Aye. So we approve the 4-0. Item, okay, the discussion and the potential action items. Number 7, proposed employment agreement for interim chief of the police between the city of Calexico and Reynaldo T. Gomez. Mr. Philip?
You have before you a proposed agreement with the interim chief of police. Actually, I gave my copy to Ms. Hurtado, so I don't have the numbers in mind, but the total annual salary is approximately $112,000. Is that correct? $118,000. And there again, it's an interim contract for 6 months. No more than a year. And during that time, there'll be a open recruitment for chief of police.
So for the time that he is the chief of police, he is considered an interim, right?
That is correct. For the time.
And 118 is that's the salary?
That's correct.
You don't want to make 250? Good answer.
So what's the term of the years? How long? Term of the
The
contract?
max 1 year.
Maximum 1 year, no more than 1 year.
Do you need housing allowance of 25,000? No? Okay. Moving expenses for 20,000? No? Okay.
So is any council members have a more question on it?
Yes, I do.
Yes, please, Ms. Hurtado.
In reviewing the agreement, I'm not sure, City Attorney, if you purposely wanted to repeat something, but I'm not sure if you were just being redundant or you meant to say something, which was the two that I just pointed out to you right now. You're talking about, there's two different areas that you talk about the same thing. I'm trying to find it here, because since we moved it. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, because,
Would you
to
let
me,
us know the page?
yeah, I just pointed it out.
No, I mean, let us know the council.
I'm trying to find it, hold on. Bear with me.
I have one other question. You were the chief of Calapat? But you were actual chief, not an under chief or
What it is-
actually chief? Okay.
Okay, what it is that under Section 1, Appointment and Duties, under item C, it talks about not engaging in any employment activity, consulting service, or other enterprise for compensation or otherwise, which is actually or potentially in conflict with, inimical to, or which interferes with the performance of his duties, right? Which to me means to not have other jobs that would interfere with the position of a police chief here in this city. However, if you go to your Section 3, Duties and Obligations, you repeat it in a way. Under item number 2, this agreement shall not be interpreted to prohibit Gomez from making passive personal investments or conducting private business affairs off-duty if those activities do not materially interfere. I wasn't sure why you needed to repeat it twice. Is that just an oversight, or is there something that has been discussed that we need to be aware of, that there's other activities going on, and that's why it was purposely necessary to say it twice? Not sure. Just a curious question. I mean, why did we do it twice? I mean, once was probably enough, but then I'm thinking maybe somebody purposely put this, especially this one here, the C, which shows that, once again, we're not restricting or limiting so long as he's performing duties. So to me, by saying that twice in two different areas, it kind of tells me it was important to point that out. So I'm just curious to see if there was something we had to know.
Okay, there again, I wasn't directly involved in negotiating the contract, but
No, in drafting the contract more, I guess.
or drafting it. My guess would be that it was somewhat inadvertent, that that part tends to be boilerplate. It's what gets included in
Right.
all contracts, and so I'm not sure exactly how that came to be, but I'm not aware of any particular issue there that's specifically being addressed.
Okay. So basically, at this point, what we're looking at is a hiring where there might be some outside activity with private businesses going on, but we're going to go ahead and allow for those so long as it doesn't interfere with the position. I'm just asking.
I'd like to address that, if I may. I'm not going to have any involvement with any private enterprises. Well, when I saw that item in the agenda, I figured there was something such as investing in the stock market, but I didn't take it as a secondary job. I intend on just solely dedicating myself to the city of Calexico, just as the contract says, no side jobs. I also intend on resigning my position with the United States Department of Homeland Security.
So you will be here Monday to Friday. You won't leave Tuesday and come back Thursday.
I enjoy working here.
You'll be here all week.
Right.
You're not consulting with
No other
other-
questions?
I'm not consulting anybody. I
With
don't have
any
another
other-
job. This would be my
You won't have to be
sole
going
source of income.
on flights to LA or other places.
No.
Okay.
This would be my sole source.
I just think I want to ask, before we go ahead and approve this, just to make sure.
Okay, so is any council member ask him something? Mr. Hurtado?
I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gomez. If you want to say something before you going in, Mr. Gomez, if you want to say something, you already say what you needed to say.
Just that I, again, repeat the opportunity to come back to my hometown and serve in the capacity of a police officer. I've served here before for 20 years, and I think I've established myself as a fair and just a public servant. And again, I'd like to thank you for that opportunity for letting me serve again.
Well,
Thank you.
I have one more question. Will you be getting a uniform?
Hopefully soon. I've been
Okay.
asking.
Thank you, Mr.
And a
Gomez.
gun, maybe? Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you, to Mr. Gomez.
I don't see it.
Please.
Supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, so now we're going to have, and it looks like it's been done by the question by the council. I believe we don't have any legalities and issues with
I
from the
make the
lawyer.
motion to approve item number 7.
The motion made by Mr. Real,
Second.
second by Mr. Castro.
Aye.
So will be voting?
Aye.
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 Ms. Hurtado, aye. So 4-0. The passed. Welcome to home, Mr. Gomez.
Thank you very much.
Okay, believe number 11. 11 first. The 7 is approved, so
We're moving
go to
11
number
up?
11 first. Discussion and the information regarding the community redevelopment agency for the Calexico merged Central Business District and the residential development project areas tax allocation bonds, school district. Bond issued of 2011.
Honorable Council, we have Steve Duquette with Urban Futures here to give you an update on the issue with the tax allocation bond for the school district 2011.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, this item appeared in the Imperial Valley Press, just so you know. And as far as council myself, I had no idea that that was happening. So just know that I think you need to kind of help us out because it kind of got us off. You and I know what we've done for the last 4 years in RDA and all that. So to me, that was a little bit of a surprise. So I'm going to need you to help me out. and
It
help
would
us
be
to have a
for
little
me,
bit
too.
more.
It would be for me, too. My name is Steve Duquette, and I'm with Urban Futures Incorporated, and I am your Chief Redevelopment Agency wind-down consultant with Urban Futures. So I have been working with the City of Calexico since the beginning of the, actually it goes way, way back. I've been working here for quite some time and helping out on economic development, housing development, that sort of thing. And so with redevelopment wind-down, that's another item where I have been helpful to the city. And this particular matter, I believe, I'm not quite sure based on the title, deals with one particular item that was requested in the last recognized obligation payment schedule. The initials are ROPS or ROPS. These are budgets that have to be submitted to the State of California Department of Finance so they can approve the expenditures that are necessary for a redevelopment agency to wind down its redevelopment affairs. Now, with respect to the matter related to the school district, back in 2011, before dissolution, before there was even a draft of any bill being considered, there were some tax allocation bonds that were sold by the Calexico Redevelopment Agency. There was actually two issues, one on behalf of the redevelopment agency, and the other one as a, I'll call it a conduit bond, also a tax allocation bond, but done specifically for the Calexico Unified School District. By the way, there has been a cooperative relationship with the school district and the city for many, many years. And actually, it probably predates the formality of an agreement to cooperate, which was entered into between the redevelopment agency, the city, and the school district back in 1993. So since that time, there have been several instances where some bonds were issued and the school district participated. And what that means is they were contributing what would have been pass-through dollars. And you might recall in the old days when you adopted redevelopment plans, there were such a thing as a pass-through agreement, meaning that a portion of the property tax money that would go to a redevelopment agency would be set aside for taxing entities that needed a pass-through. School districts always needed it, so they got a pass-through. And what the Calexico Unified School District did was they arranged to have a portion of their pass-through property tax money used to pay debt service on bonds for which the proceeds of selling the bonds, so the bonds are sold, the money comes in, they got the money and they used it for capital improvements to benefit the school district. Now, these 2011 Calexico Unified School District bonds were issued specifically to contribute to the development of the pool at the high school. That was the intent, and all the documents that relate to that issue clearly say this. And the obligation of the school district was called out in no uncertain terms. And so when I mentioned that the school district uses their pass-through funds, because of dissolution, they now receive the pass-through funds first. So we need to, and we do, Eduardo takes care of this twice per year. They're given an invoice to pay the debt service on their bonds when the bank asks for the money. So he collects that from them, and they do pay this money, all of it, for all of their bonds. So the State of California Department of Finance, in reviewing the application to release a little over $1.4 million as a contribution to the pool this last fall, denied the item initially. And they denied it based upon their belief that there was no documentation that proved the school district was obligated to make the payments and was entitled to receive the money.
Mr. Duquette, but are you speaking separately on the 2009 bond, separate from the 11?
2011s? Isn't
You're
that
talking
what
about
we're
the 11 only
today?
right now?
2011s? Yes. Well, unfortunately now, the redevelopment wind-down process allows for an appeal process. So we submitted an appeal on behalf of the school district, and by the way, we just didn't do this out of thin air. They're our partner here. It's their property. The money that was gained from the bond issue is their property. All the documents say this. It's not the successor agency's property. It's not the city's property. It's the school district's property. It's in the best interest of all parties for the school district to get the money for obvious reasons. They're going to have this pool. They've actually let the contract. You probably know that. So it's getting a little bit uneasy with respect to what's happening in terms of the time frame. So we submitted the appeal, And we had a conference call meeting with the appropriate officials with the California Department of Finance. We included the appropriate officials with the Calexico Unified School District on this call. And we actually had a pre-meeting and then a meeting with the Department of Finance so that they understood what we were going to say, why we were going to say what we said, and to hopefully convince the Department of Finance that the school district's position is justifiable and it's recorded and they should get these funds. We waited several weeks, and in the month of December, we got a meet and confer final determination letter in which the State Department of Finance decided, well, they thought $71,000 would be about right, given the way the Health and Safety Code works. They reiterated their feelings that there wasn't evidence that they were conduit bonds in the property of the school district. And so it puts the school district in a tough situation. We believe they're right. We believe they will prevail. And as a matter of fact, Eduardo Gutierrez and I are going to be on a conference call tomorrow with the superintendent of the school district and other representatives of the school district to talk about a path forward. Now, there is a path forward. We believe they will prevail. Because the funds are not property tax funds directly, they're bond proceeds, it is possible for the Department of Finance to reverse their position at any time. We want that to happen. Given experience that I've had in other jurisdictions on obvious matters that the people at Department of Finance don't seem to find so obvious, I've suggested the use of a lobbyist. We're going to recommend a lobbyist to them who has direct access to all the officials at the Department of Finance at the highest level, and has, I believe, has actually performed what I would call administrative miracles to get things done, although I don't actually think that much is needed in this particular case. But we're going to recommend that. We're also going to recommend that they discuss this thoroughly with their general counsel regarding what this might be, so that they understand that, and I believe I can say this because the documents that placed this matter before the Department of Finance were approved by the Oversight Board and your City Council as successor agency board. That is the policy of Calexico to support the school district in all that they do to obtain those funds for this very needed project because the documents are so clear. So we can stand with them, but they need to be the voice behind this, and we'll encourage them to do that and offer whatever support we can. But to get it over the goal line, they need to push it. We need to be their assistant. So we're going to push it in that direction. Hopefully I actually, after speaking that one time beforehand and then with the meet and confer a meeting with Department of Finance with the officials of the school district, frankly, I have no doubt. They're very organized, very smart people, so I believe we will be able to accomplish this. Now, I certainly wish I could have read the article in the paper before today. I hope I probably have illuminated this more than the paper has. They might have described it as being a dire circumstance. I don't quite look at it that way, but it's like everything else in this process. The Department of Finance knows nothing about redevelopment, and they know nothing about cities, and I hate to say this, they also do not care. Our job is, we know about it, we do care, we don't give up, and we keep trying. On the next budget that will come to you, and it's only a matter of weeks now for the next ROPS, where we will place it back on the request just to ensure that it stays in front of Department of Finance so that we can get this determination made. So we're going to give it our very best effort. We will not quit, and our goal is to get that money to the school district. I believe confidently that all of you believe that is the appropriate thing to do.
I think that the question that I would have right now is, will the city be joining the challenge? Because this pool is 50% used towards the majority of our community, not just the high school. That's why we're going in as joint. So it sounds to me as if we're going to allow the school district just to fight this on their own. We're not going to join them as far as wanting to challenge this together with them?
It depends. Now, you're talking about potential litigation. In that matter,
well, even in the appeal, you prepared the appeal, or the school district did?
I drafted it, and they approved it before we submitted it. And then we jointly discussed it with Department of Finance. I will highly recommend that they select a lobbyist. I have one that they need to pick, If they do that, I think it resolves itself. If for whatever reason that doesn't happen, litigation is always an opportunity to take, but frankly, I think before that happens, the general counsel of the school district needs to talk to general counsel of the Department of Finance. Her name is Shelley Renner. I've had a lot of dealings with her on other matters. General counsel to general counsel many times can be very constructive with respect to resolution. If all that fails, then certainly consideration of litigation is a possibility. And you make a good point. Should the school district be solely involved, that's a determination for your board to make.
That's why I'm bringing it up.
In
I'm
closed
bringing it
session.
up at this point so that we can all listen to the situation, which I believe we're all seeing that it looks like we're leaving this to the school district on their own. But we're a joint project, and we may need to probably consider behaving as a team.
If it gets to that point, if all else fails, then I believe the city manager will recommend a closed session under potential litigation for discussion in closed session with the city council. I think, though, given how fluid this is, you should get periodic updates in terms of how this is proceeding, but this could be resolved in a matter of only a few weeks. I had another client that they actually in a worse condition, and they hired the lobbyist at the end of November. Their matter was resolved 4 weeks later in writing. Now, I'm not sure we can do it in 4 weeks.
Cheaper than attorney.
Well, yes. I'm not saying that attorneys aren't worthwhile. I would never say that. In a worst-case scenario, I mean,
Cover your ears, Bob.
you are right. It might get there. Let's hope it doesn't, though.
I think that the city should show a united front.
Question. In a nutshell, my understanding is that even though it is a joint project and a joint venture between the city and the school board, the reason the monies were, I guess you can say, taken away, it really comes down to the school district itself not really doing its job to take those monies before that happened. Is that pretty much the way it?
Actually,
I mean, the
would-
city, what I'm asking you is, the city's not at fault for what happened.
Oh, no, the city is not. However,
So if we had to point a finger here, it would be the school district.
when the bonds were sold pursuant to the contract, I expected that question. So
Okay,
I
good.
pulled out the certificate that was signed by all parties when the proceeds were distributed. And the proceeds were placed in what's called the Residential Redevelopment Project Area Tax Allocation Bonds School District Trust Fund. So they were put in a trust fund just for the school district. It's more of a, it clearly is evidence that this was never going to be commingled. It was only going to be used for the pool. And there was a process they needed to go through to design the pool and get it ready. Part of that process involved getting additional funds. And interestingly enough, I'm going to say this for folks that may not know, I know you know this. The project has significant state of California grant funds that are contributed to this. And in their grant fund application, they cited as matching funds these very dollars. So you have one hand of the state saying, this is wonderful, I'm glad you could do it. Another one slapping you. It doesn't make sense, does it?
Now, my understanding is if they would have used those monies or put them in some type of, I'm not sure if it could be an escrow account, but something like that, it would have been, they wouldn't have been able to take them away or freeze them.
I'll tell you what, if I knew what I know now about what the state has done to ravage former redevelopment agencies, and I knew this during February 2011, I would have made millions of dollars. Because all my clients would have done every possible thing to avoid all these calamities in advance. And one of the biggest calamities we couldn't avoid was, and I hate to say this, I live in California and I pay taxes, and every time I say this, my wallet hurts. And that is, we're paying good money for people to behave so badly in terms of how they're treating cities. You all know, you serve on a city council, cities are the basic framework of local government, the most important local government entity. I know counties might disagree. I used to work with the county, but cities are where the action is. You saw that tonight. People come and speak to you about what's going on in the community. So for the state to take an action that is contrary to that is antithetical, frankly. But that's what they've done. They've unleashed a bunch of bureaucrats that have gone about interpreting the health and safety code in manners it was never intended to be interpreted that way. I might say to you also, this instance of a conduit bond, where bonds were sold specifically for a school district, no obligation whatsoever to the city, the redevelopment agency, now successor agency, no obligation at all, and a clear path showing the property is owned by the school district, is a one-off transaction in California. There is none other like this. So, why would I say that to you? Because before we get carried away in litigation, make a phone call to your assembly member and state senator and say, we want one amendment in the Health and Safety Code to make it possible for the Calexico Unified School District to get their money right now. And this next spring, when they do the next amendment to the Health and Safety Code for wind down, make sure that's in there. Get them their money. So they're not going to affect anyone else. It's just Calexico.
Mr. Duquette. The other thing that I wanted you to help me to understand was, I understand that the state also allowed for a partial draw. Now, where does that play into everything if supposedly then we're not supposed to, but then we can, but it's only a portion? Can you explain that part?
This goes back to Governor Brown's speech on January 11th, 2011, when he announced to the world he was going to end redevelopment. Many redevelopment agencies didn't believe that was going to happen. And there was a major effort on their part to work with the legislature to take some corrective actions. I'm not saying there wasn't a need for that. There's always a bad apple in the barrel. And there were a few that gave redevelopment generally a black eye, so to speak. But those issues could have been corrected. Anyway, there was a view by some, I think this emanates from the governor, that the redevelopment agencies that sold bonds after that date, by the way, it goes back to January 1st, by the way. So someone on January 1st would have to know the governor was going to give a speech 10 days later. So it's pretty amazing. But if you issued bonds, you're punished. Initially, you couldn't spend the money at all. So in recent amendments to the Health and Safety Code, there has been an allowance so that at the first level, if a jurisdiction has a finding of completion, you could use 5% of those amounts. If you have a finding of completion and you submit a last and final ROPS, you can do this if you meet certain criteria, which Calexico has not yet met but will. So there will be a point in time when that happens. So the amount that was cited in the letter from DOF is equal to the 5% because Calexico has a finding of completion but does not have a last and final ROPS. Because the bonds were issued in February, that means that that amount would go up to 40% of the $1.4 million. However, if you know what their budget looks like, they need all of it. And there's no excuse for the state to do what they're doing. We actually gave them, in the appeal, a citation of the Health and Safety Code to help them make the right decision. But we're dealing with people who don't know anything about these matters at all. They just are not on board. And the person who runs the division is, well, he's a lifetime member, I think, of state government. And he doesn't really watch it day to day. And so he doesn't necessarily know what they're proposing. So it's a shocking thing, by the way. But I do think that this matter will resolve itself. But it requires tenacity in all sorts. It may even need special legislation. But I think in this instance, it should be able to be acquired. But we just have to stay after it. So we start tomorrow in bringing the school district folks on board. But I think you'll hear more, maybe even potentially directly from them as time goes on. But yes, you are right. Always form a partnership. We're always with them. We're not going to let them flap in the wind. You shouldn't do that. The successor agency and the school district stand together, arms locked, to go get this money.
Thank you, Mr. Duquette.
Thank you.
I have some questions. Mr. Duquette.
Yes,
I
yes, sir.
have some questions. First of all, I believe the school district kept the money in the trust fund, RDA trust fund, and the state took over. And if they pulled out the money from the RDA trust fund to their own swimming pool project fund, it could be preventing the state takeover because there's no longer in the account of the RDA trust fund money.
The money is actually being held by Calexico in that special trust fund. Where it went when the bonds were sold is still there.
That's what I'm saying. The trust fund is the RDA trust fund, but since the RDA trust fund, state has chance to pull the money out.
We've asked that that be allowed. The state has only allowed about $70,000 be removed. The rest of it, by the way, their solution is Well, maybe there'll be a last and final ROP, so you could get a little bit more, and then the rest of the money would be used for debt service. That's how they see this. However, that doesn't resolve the indebtedness, because these bonds, by the way, in 2011, because of other economic concerns, were at a rate higher than the current bonds. So they were in the low sevens. You're now doing bonds at about the low fives. There was about 2% difference, meaning they're trading in the marketplace today at $1.15 to $1.20 on face value. So it's really impractical to buy the bonds. By the way, California state employees who look at it would know that. We're financial advisors. We know this. That's not a solution, even though they say it is. Just isn't.
So which is like a 5% of the bond only stay taking over, and rest of the money stay there to pay the bonds.
That's what the state would say.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but we cannot, the school district cannot use that money.
The state is saying they cannot use it now. I think what we're saying is the state is wrong.
Okay, yeah, I understand
In
what
their
you're saying.
own words, in their own letter,
Okay,
they
I
are
understand. I understand what you're saying. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say, when we leave the trust fund, instead of leave their trust fund, let's say school district pull their money into their own project for the swimming pool project account, and state wouldn't be able to pull the money out from there. That's my question.
Well, if the money was removed from the trust fund it's in now and given to the school district without otherwise taking care of the issue, I think that the successor agency may be exposed to challenge by the State Department of Finance and/or the county auditor controller. I would recommend that be reviewed by your general counsel and you get an opinion of what that might mean. That is a risk. How much of a risk? I'm not sure. Your attorney would need to give you advice.
Well, just my simple question is, we kept the money about 5 years. Almost 5 years,
Yes.
we kept the money in the trust account, the school district. If the
Yes.
school district pulled the money, let's say 3-4 years ago, when they start the swimming pool project, they open another account to put the money there, then the state wouldn't be able to pull the money out of it. That's what my question.
Well, actually, the state never will be. They never get the right to actually touch the money, but what they do is they direct the use of it. So at this point, if nothing else were to ever happen to qualify the release of more money, which there will be, you will have a last and final ROPS, probably a year from now. So there will be some more money that can be released, but not all of it. Then the rest of it, from the state's perspective, would be directed toward retiring debt. So making debt service payments.
So actually, state money's still there, but the state frozen the money, we cannot spend it.
That's the best way to describe it, yes.
And then exclude it only for the 5% to pull out the money to can spend. The school district spend it, and rest of them they're going to be reserving for the debt service.
At this point, if nothing
Yes,
changes,
that's
that would
what
be so.
that's what they're saying.
That's what the state's saying,
Yeah.
yes.
But again, my question was, if the school district pull the money out from the trust fund to transfer to their own swimming pool fund, state wouldn't be able to touch that money. That's my question.
That is correct, but this trust fund is held in trust by the city of Calexico. So the Calexico Unified School District cannot unilaterally withdraw the money. It's not in a bank. It's with the city, and the city has it invested with other funds. So the city would have to release it, and that's where a potential risk comes in. That's why I'm suggesting if that's something you'd like to have evaluated, you should ask your attorney to give you
So
an
that
opinion
means
on that.
that means that they didn't request the city to release that fund. So money was invested certain way, and the state to frozen the money.
We think it's a mistake on
Yes.
their part, yes.
Yes.
And
Okay.
the evidence is in their own letter.
Okay.
So we'd like to pursue that independently. We want the school district to be the point. Successor agency Calexico is at their side, so they're not by themselves. We want to help them, and Eduardo and I are going to discuss a path forward for them, some options to consider. And
Okay,
hopefully that will result
I
in
understand what you're saying, but the thing is, my question was, if they request the city to release the fund transfer the money from their own account, the state wouldn't be able to touch that money. That's what my question was.
Yeah, ultimately, any money transferred to the school district, at this point, it's a little over $70,000. My recommendation would be, this is at an administrative level, is to release that money now.
Okay,
It has
thank
been
you.
released, let's give them that.
Yeah,
And
but,
let's go after the rest.
Yeah, but my question was different, and then you would answer the different things. As what I'm saying is that the school district could save the money when they moved a couple years ago. Ask the city to release the money that transferred on another account, so the state wouldn't be able to touch that money. That's my question. Is
Yeah, that's a thought. They weren't ready to use it at that particular point, and because the successor agency did not have a finding of completion, it couldn't use its 2011 bond proceeds anyway.
yeah, thank you. And the other one question is, then why the Mr. Ciro Calderon asked me to city owes the $1 million to the school districts?
I misunderstood that the city owes the school district $1 million?
Yes, about $1.4 million.
Oh, you
to
mean
the
from
school
this
district.
particular
Yes.
bond issue?
Yes.
Well, the administrators at the school district understand the limitations on this fund. So we didn't do this unilaterally. We brought them in as a team so they would understand it, and they participated in our discussion with the Department of Finance. So what we are saying in so many words is that we want to remain as a team with them, but they need to take a lead position in order to get this matter resolved.
Okay.
I
thank
believe
you.
it will be.
So actually, we service the school district to issue the bond. We are the one service agency, but it's really owner of the bond, it was the school district.
Correct. But the school district asked the redevelopment agency to do this. The redevelopment agency didn't go to them, hey, would you like to have a bond? We think we can get you some money. Tell us what you'd spend it on. It was the other way. They needed the money. Could you help us?
Actually, at that time, I was a school board. I was against the bond. But,
Well, at this
it's
point,
been done.
we need to have a nice swimming pool.
Thank you. Okay, and the other one was, do you know the individual about the Kinsale, Newcomb, the Dios Incorporations?
I do, yes.
Yes. Do you know they lost their license?
I understand they're no longer practicing.
Yeah.
Yes, for reasons that I'm
Issuing
not
the bond,
personally
then-
aware of, but they're not in this business any longer.
Yeah, they lost the license, that's what I understand it. And they are believed being investigated by the security bond.
Right, and what they
council.
do is they sell the bonds initially, and then they ultimately are owned by investors. At that point, the underwriter has no further responsibility under the transaction, and these bonds, they trade in the marketplace. And they could be trading on a regular basis. I mean, they're premium bonds because of the interest rate.
Okay, thank you. But I think a lot of the successor agencies been discussing these kind of things. As a council, we never had any numbers in the front of us. We left it blank. And I found it a lot of successor agencies spending wrongly, paying from the success RDA money, and council will never be informed. Whoever was the success agencies, the leader success agencies, they just left council members leave the dark. So, and for the success agency, we should have council all the report on the backup documents.
In a couple of weeks, we'll have before the full council the next recognized obligation payment schedule. And if it would be acceptable, I'd like to present that to you and walk you through every component of it so you'll understand what's in it. But just to cut to the chase, make it simple, successor agencies can only spend money that's on one of these budgets and is also approved by the state. They don't always approve every item, but you ask for the money, authorization to spend, and they approve. And what they approve on it, you can actually spend at that point. When the resolution of approval is adopted by the successor agency, you empower staff through your city manager to expend those funds. And that is the manner in which it has been managed since the beginning. So they have managed it in a very concise way. And frankly, although the subject matter is dire, I mean, the redevelopment is winding down, the process of regularly going to the elected body, because you're responsible for everything with the name Calexico on it except for the school district. So it's good for you to know what the budget is and what the money is being used for.
Yeah, but I have some information about it they've been using wrongly and the success agency. At this point, I'm as a mayor, I'll request to the city, Mr. Finley, the city manager, I requested the success agency special meeting to discuss all the issues belongs especially in this bond. Would you set up the meeting, please? Thank you.
I would be glad to attend.
Thank you.
And anything more you might have before that time would be good. Now, on your next budget, there will be a proposal for use of some of the 2011 bond proceeds that were issued by the redevelopment agency. So we'll put that on the schedule for use. And I know the city has many, many projects for which money can be used for the benefit of the city, and those funds can be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Duquette, just one last clarification. We're not talking 2009, right? Just 2011 has been the issue?
2011s, that's correct.
9 is no longer an issue at all, correct?
No, they actually, for the prior bonds, the use of those funds has been on prior budgets, these ROPS, and they've been approved by the state of California, and they have been used.
Okay, so the only problem here was 11.
The 11 has to do with the issue with the governor making that announcement. And so I think personally it's because he wanted to punish the redevelopment agencies that did that, but I don't think he ever intended to punish a school district. That was never intended. And I wish that, the fight's over now. Originally, some of my clients wanted to fight, never Calexico, but I've had some others. The fight's over. Everyone just wants to get it over with now. So with that in mind, I think it would be nice if they just released the money, get it all spent. The taxpayer, we're talking about taxpayers' money. Taxpayers are paying for this. They should get the benefit. That's my personal opinion. If they're paying for it, they should get the benefit. That's just the way it should be.
Thank you, Mr. Duquette.
Are you running for office, sir?
No.
Okay.
Actually, people ask me all the time, no, I don't want to do that. I've sat on many boards, and so I've had enough of that, yes.
Thank you. I believe that we have kind of the clearing the issues. And anybody send more question on this one? If we don't, so what should do? I request a special meeting for the success agency. And what else are we gonna need to do it? So we're gonna be acknowledging what's happening and leave to the success agency. Okay, so we acknowledge what's happening, and then we're going to leave up to the success agency to bring later on they make the decision, bring the council to let council know, please. Thank you. And number 8. Number 8.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, this is a kind of a housekeeping item. It's an amendment to the contract of City Manager Fenley to change his title from acting city manager to interim city manager. It's kind of a title change. It really doesn't have any kind of a practical effect, but anyhow, that's the request.
Thank you.
I have a question. So this is not increasing his pay?
No.
It's not increasing his severance? He doesn't have severance, anything like that?
No.
Well-
The only change is to change his title from acting city manager to interim city
To
manager.
interim, okay.
Typically, an acting city manager is someone that's appointed while there's a city manager who's disabled or not able to perform his functions, and then you have an acting city manager. Once there is no city manager in the background and you're at recruiting, then typically you have an interim city manager, so that,
So we're just changing his title?
exactly.
He's still keeping his name, Nick Finley? Yeah.
I don't know.
Motion to approve item number 8.
Motion made by the Mr. Leal, second by the Mr. Castro.
Aye.
Do we have a discussion? Okay, so we have voting.
Aye.
Mr. Carrial, aye. Mr. Castro? Aye. Ms. Hurtado?
No.
Kim said aye. The 3-1, we passed. Okay, the number 9. Second reading of the adoption of the ordinance number 1168 of the City Council of the City of Calexico amending chapters 5.96 and 17.11 prohibiting medical cannabis dispensaries, medical cannabis cultivation, and the medical cannabis delivery in the city. This one is Mr. Hargrave.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is one we discussed at the last city council meeting, which is in response to the state legislation that requires, at least at this point, that cities enact certain measures prior to March 1st in order to retain their ability to regulate marijuana within their jurisdiction. So this is an ordinance that is essentially the one that's being proposed to cities all over the state. Many cities have already adopted it. It doesn't mean that the city's forever going to prohibit the cultivation and processing and whatnot of marijuana. It just means that the city at this point is kind of reserving its rights to, let's say, study the issue in more depth and come to a decision as you go forward.
So we make this decision this time, we approve it, we're going to have control by the cities, whatever we decide, we're going to do it, yes or not.
Yeah, that's the intent. You know, it's subject to whatever the voters in the legislature do, but
Are we voting on this also? Item 9, it's an action item?
Yeah, number 9.
yes, this ordinance was approved at first reading at your last meeting. This is the
Second
second reading
reading,
for
okay.
adoption.
Okay. Do we have a
So-
motion?
So this is to control.
To control ourselves.
You want to control
No,
the,
I'm not going to, I want to control, it's controlled by the city.
okay.
So do I have a motion? I motion to approve it. We approved the last time.
Okay, what I understand on this item number 9, if I approve this,
If we approve this one, we're gonna be banning to all the any
you
marijuana
approve-
activities, and then, but same time we're gonna have a control ourselves in case if we need to make the different decision, we can make the decision for the future. If we don't do this term right now, and then gonna be followed by the state law.
Number, yeah.
so,
No mota, yes mota. This is
so,
what it is.
see, so if I say no, that's mean yes, right, on this item, right?
No, you have to say
If you
yes
say
to the,
is-
approve it.
Yes is no, yeah.
Yes is no.
Yes is
Yes,
no.
this means no
Yes.
marijuana.
Yes is no.
Yes means no.
marijuana, right?
Yeah, this
exactly.
means no marijuana.
I have one last question.
Okay, my vote is no on this one.
What? So you're gonna be yes marijuana?
You know what, there is some issues, sometimes for medical issue is gonna be fine for
But
medical issues.
Yeah, but the medical issues by the doctors they've been doing.
One of the things I was reading on here that,
Also, let me finish with this. Also, if someone trying to, how do you say, to
start a business or?
start business cultivation of marijuana, they are gonna create some sales tax for the city of Calexico. I mean, that's something,
Well, first of all, to cultivate, you need land, and we don't have land. We're actually kind of landlocked, so cultivating would be on the outskirts in county property, so there's no possibility probably to cultivate in the city.
We can do it in the park so that we get money for I wanna clarify something here that I didn't see last time. As far as the so right now, obviously we voted on this and it passed. So this is the second reading. If somebody is sick in the city of Calexico and has a doctor's prescription for medical cannabis, right? And we don't have any medical cannabis stores in Calexico, but orders some cannabis from El Centro or from Imperial or somewhere that does allow the sale of cannabis, and they're really breaking the law, right?
Yeah, well,
Even though they're not breaking the law at the state because it's legal for medical, they're breaking the law as an ordinance because we don't allow it, correct?
well.
So
this
a police
doesn't-
officer could, I guess what I'm saying is a police officer could say, okay, even though the state allows it for you to have medical marijuana because our ordinance does it, I'm going to arrest you?
No, it doesn't prohibit the use of medical marijuana within the
Okay.
city, because that's permitted by state law. What it does prohibit, at least at this point, is dispensaries within the city of Calexico. It also prohibits distribution for profit within the city. So you couldn't order it
But it
from-
says here, and medical cannabis delivery.
Right.
So if the cannabis is coming from Brawley, El Centro, and they drive into City of Calexico to leave it, at Mr. Ben Horton's house, I'm just, using somebody's name. They would be it would be legal.
Delivery by the Mr. Real.
If they're doing it as a business, it would be illegal. Now, you could send your friend to El Centro and pick it up and bring it back to you. That's not illegal, but the commercial delivery within the city would be illegal.
Yeah.
So if it's a business, yeah, you're basically prohibiting
The
marijuana
business,
business
marijuana
within the
business.
city.
So-
The use is okay, but the business is not.
Make
for the
sure
time
Mr.
being.
Real cannot make the money.
So that's like-
Cannot make the business.
So that's like, you can drink alcohol, but you can't buy it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I don't know where it makes sense, but it makes sense. Okay.
Okay, I motion to approve it. Do I have second?
To approve the,
The amendment, the second reading of the adoption of the ordinance number 1168 to preventing to sell, delivery, cultivations.
I second for its approval to not allow for dispensaries in the city of Calexico.
Yeah. So second by Mr. Hurtado.
I
Do I have a-
I would approve, I'm just going to say one last thing here. I would approve for the city of Calexico to not allow cannabis dispensaries.
There's a motion
Or
on the floor,
medical-
Mr.
Yeah, motion
You have a
and
motion on the floor.
seconds.
Okay.
So I
Vote.
think we
No.
all discussed we already enough to, let's go to vote. Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Real?
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Hurtado?
Was it the same motion?
Yeah, same motion.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, so we approve it. Number 10. Number 9 is
Motion to
approved,
approve.
4-0.
Legal, city clerk needs a clarification.
Okay, so we had a motion, a second, and it was a 4-0.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-0.
The previous vote.
Same as for previous vote. Yeah.
No marijuana.
You can make the business. Okay, number 10, adopt the City of Calexico
So you're anti-business.
home buyer programs guidelines date January 2016.
Anti-business, huh, Kim?
Yeah, we don't want
Number
our
10.
parks to be used for that stuff.
Adopt the City of the Calexico home buyers program guidelines date January 16. Mr. Hargreaves? Or Mr. Philly?
The current guidelines that the city of Calexico had approved were from March 2013. These are the new guidelines approved by the Housing Community Development Department from the state, and it requires that the city adopt these new guidelines. It's basically the impact on the first-time home buyers program is still at $40,000, so that's not being increased. We're just adopting the new guidelines that the state is, Housing and Community Development is asking of us for the year of 2016.
Motion to approve.
I have a couple of questions. Are we able to actually expend these program funds?
Not currently, we are being audited, but we do have to adopt.
Re-audited, rather.
Right.
Okay,
There's
so
a
we're
motion
not
on the
able to
floor.
expend these
There's
funds,
a
but
motion on the floor.
I need questions
And a
answered.
second.
This is a
Call for the question, Mayor.
first-time home buyer program?
Correct.
Uh-huh. You know what was curious when I saw the
Call for the
actual-
question.
Okay, then we have a qualification from the Real.
I have a
We're
real
both gonna
simple
vote for the
question.
qualification.
Real simple question. It's getting a little ridiculous with interrupting.
Aye.
The question that I wanted to ask
No.
was, wouldn't it be a good idea to maybe identify this as first-time home buyer? Because a lot of our people here in
Call for the
the city
question.
don't know that we have a first-time home buyer. So when I saw that it didn't say
Mayor,
actually
control your
first-time home
meeting.
buyer, I was thinking, would
Well,
we
you already
maybe
voted.
be able to
Well,
promote
the
it a little
vote
better if it
no.
was called that?
Control
2
your
and
meeting.
2.
We could do that.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve Mr. Real with the motion, second by Mr. Castro. We have a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, with the changes that we're going to call it and make sure we call it first-time home buyer, because it's a great program.
That wasn't the motion, though. Correct?
If you don't want to name it first-time home buyer, that's fine, okay? I'm just saying, this is a great program. I've known a lot of people that have used the program, and when I looked at the information, it
I
doesn't say
believe-
first time, and it might be great to be able to add
I
that word in
think
there.
I think
because
it's
it
a
helps.
typo. I believe it's a typo. First
It
home
says
buyers
here
is
home-
correct.
Yeah, it's a
Correct
typo.
typo. I
Yeah, it's a
think it's a
typo,
typo.
because it's first home buyer, yeah.
Yeah, just only have a program for first home buyer program only, not what's called the home buyers programs. Okay, so I believe the type of the first home buyers program was the guideline, was the supposedly agendas. Okay, we approved by the 4-0. And number 10, so number 12. Consideration for the city to request an audit of the city finance by the State Controller's Office for the past 8-10 years, requested by the Mayor Kim. I believe our financing is too much issues in there. And even a lot of the documents are missing. Even now, there's no invoice, no receipt. That's what I was understanding. So I don't know how former administrations to pay the bill. We need the outsiders outside the state to come to the city to help us to find out what's going on here. And same time, we can find who is responsible, what is responsible, what is the issues. Maybe we can pursue it for the next level.
I would like to make a motion for a continuance of this item. I think right now it's throwing gas on fire. I think we should finish our audits first before we have the state come in here. We don't even know where we're at. The state's not going to come in and do our audits. So I think we should get a hold of where we're at first as a city.
Okay, motion to
Motion to continue to, can you give us an update on when we might have everything?
I have some question, Mr. Leal. You continues to meeting for the major HE audit. You didn't approve the audit. You wanted to have the audit. You wanted to know the what's going on here, and then you're the one who's stopping.
The problem with that, Mr. Kim, is that I actually called the state controller's office and asked them exactly how they could come in and help the city, and they will not come in unless your audit is complete. So first the audit has to be complete before they come in.
So we can approve it today. We can approve today. It's not necessarily they're coming tomorrow.
Actually, whether we
still
approve-
can approve. We
actually-
can still furnish the audit to send them.
First of all, actually, even if we approve it, that doesn't mean they're going to come because the city of Calexico
That's
all of
true.
a sudden
That is
says,
true.
let's,
But we are willing to try to fix it.
okay. Can you give us an update on when you think you'll have a hold on the city's finances? Are we close, just?
No, we're getting close, but not totally ready. So, auditors.
Weeks, months?
No, we're hitting for a month and a half.
For about a month and a half? You guys should have everything situated?
We're working toward. We're working toward. And regarding the state audit, I don't know if they want to be maybe a charge for that. I don't know if they want to be free of charge. So,
But we still need the audit. We still need the audit to what's going on in our finance department.
yeah, well, for what Mr. Real said, we need to have the audit ready before they can show up.
You have to close the books.
We need to close the books. We need to do, and the auditors need to do
I
perform
completely,
the audit.
I think we need to close the books and, I'm all for, yeah, I make a motion to continue
We
it.
can make today's resolution, to make the decision to approve it until and after requested after the close the books and the audit, finish the audit.
Mr.
We can
Gutierrez,
do that today.
after you
Why
close
we
the
have to
books,
continue
naturally, they're
doing
going
it?
to come audit, aren't they?
Okay, well, there's a motion
Excuse
to
me?
continue it.
Okay.
If there's no motion, then it dies.
I'm second to continue.
Second to continue?
Okay,
Aye.
so, any discussion? Then we vote?
Aye.
No? See
Mr.
how you guys
Gutierrez,
want to
let's
deal
clarify
with those
something.
problem issues.
Because I think that what we need to understand is, We need to close the books. No one else is going to do that for us. Is that correct? Our staff needs to do it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's,
So we need to close the books for anyone to be able to come and review them. Is that correct?
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So right now, when we talk about auditing, it says here 8 years, but it sounds as if the council's interested in auditing your most recent, which is your 14-15, which you're trying to close. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So you need to close the books. Then naturally, our auditors come around and do the first round of auditing. And then maybe the controllers may come in after that audit is done? Right?
Yes,
Okay, so we're
that's-
pretty far from that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that that's probably important to understand the functionality of the whole big picture.
Call for the question.
Before we're, I'm sorry, I'm not done. Before we actually
Call for the question.
look for the
Okay, we have
controllers
a
to
call
come
for the
in.
question, Mr. Hurtado.
We already
They
voted.
voted. So
Okay.
we're gonna vote for the call for question.
So when,
Okay, call for question
Because I
by, made
haven't-
by,
I haven't-
Aye.
Mr. Call for question.
Continuance, motion to continuance. You
No,
had
no,
second.
no, wait.
Yeah.
This voting is a call for question. We're gonna let Ms. Hurtado talking or not. So,
Oh, I don't need to
Ms.
finish.
Castro, please.
Go ahead. I don't need to
please.
finish. Go ahead.
Mr. Castro, Mr. Real was said yes.
I'm just
Mr.
saying,
Castro?
once we're already voting,
Okay, please,
it's-
let me handle the meeting.
then you should
please.
second for discussion, so,
So, Mr. Castro?
for discussion or?
No, I mean, no. This is for the, no, this one's a call for question. Mr. Leal to call the call for questions. So we accept, if we accepting the we're not gonna let the Mr. Hurtado talking. If we don't approve it, then Mr. Hurtado keeping talking.
but I'm done, Mr. Kim.
You done? Done. Okay, then we don't have to buy, we don't have to vote. But I believe
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez.
I request our council members try to not to call for questions. That is kind of a rude. Even you don't agree, let the person to talk.
There's a time to
Please.
talk, and that's when you have
No,
a,
that's why, that's why there's the Robert's rules to obligating for the 2/3 of the board to do it. I don't know why council changed the.
there was a first, there was a second, we voted, and then they're asking questions.
No, I
That's-
haven't voted yet.
That's too, I mean,
No, she didn't
you
vote
voted
yet.
yourself. You had already voted, Mayor. Right?
Yeah,
Okay, so then, why are we asking questions after the vote's taken?
but she wanted.
Because
to
I have the
change it.
right to ask questions.
Control the meeting. You have to control the meeting, Mayor.
Okay, so, Ms. Hurtado, you didn't vote yet.
Correct. What's the motion after all that?
Motion to continue, not to decide today.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes, so we're-
3, 2, 1. So, the motion approved the continued meeting for the next. 13, discussion regarding the release of the former city attorney-client privilege response to the district attorney's letter dated March 17, 2014, regarding Brown Act violation by the city requested by the Mayor Kim, which is I believe the 2015, I believe the March or April, the district attorney wrote the opinion letter, say City of Calexico break the Brown Acts. And that time, the former city attorney, Jennifer Lyons, wrote the response letter. But since the client and lawyer privileges, the city attorney couldn't release the letter outside and leave up to the council. But that time when I was casting, city manager never put in the agenda to release it. So I believe the public have to know the both sides of what's going on. This is for the transparency for our community, and we have responsible to let the community know what's really going on. So that's why I put it on the agenda to get the fellow council members to agree to release the response letter from the Jennifer Lyons, former city attorney. Mr. Castro?
Motion to approve item 13.
I will abstain. I was not here at the time that happened, and I really don't know
I
exactly
second.
what happened, so.
Ms. Hurtado?
I vote no. I really don't see any purpose to go back into this anymore.
No, just the release
So I vote no.
response letter from our lawyer. The public, this need the transparency for the public. And you, Mr. Real, you was for transparency, you want to hide it to the community.
No, I just don't know, to be honest with you, I'm not going to vote on something that I don't know anything about.
Well,
I had my briefing today with the city manager, but like I said, this is something that happened when I wasn't here. You know, you're wanting me to, I'll tell you what, I will abstain. If you guys want to bring it back, maybe next meeting, I guess, let me do my homework on it, because for something like this, I don't
it's a
really,
transparency, it's for the community,
well,
okay?
like I said, it's my vote.
Because I brought it, you guys have to be to say no. Kim brought it, you guys have to say no.
No, you know what? I
That's
would
what
like
happening in
to,
this council.
okay, let me tell you, it's my vote.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
understand
know-
that. You
I
can,
don't
you have a
know-
right to flip too.
I don't know exactly what it's about. If maybe you want to tell me what it's about within
Just
the
to
next.
response the letter.
I don't know enough. If you want to sit down with me and tell me why you want this as a council member, I'd be happy to listen to you, and because
No, I'm
honestly,
not going to talk to you. You're going to find yourself, and you want to vote what you want.
I don't know what this is about. I'm sorry.
Okay, we have a response letter.
Okay, I have a question. Did the
Yes.
city council see the letter at the time that it went out?
Yes.
Okay, so you've all seen it.
Yeah, we all
I don't
council
see-
members.
Not me. I wasn't there.
No,
That's what
it
I'm
was
saying.
all the council, they sent it to all the council member. He
Not
should
me.
have it. You was the council member that time. 2015, I think March and April that time. You received the letter. You never consider about that. You received the letter. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't know enough about it right now.
No,
I will-
you the one council member that time you received the letter. You said you wasn't there. You're not gonna know. If you
This
don't agree, to go ahead and agree. That's
This
agree.
this was a Brown Act violation supposedly between three council members. I wasn't one of them, and to be honest, I don't know exactly what it's about. Like I said, if we can discuss this and it's something for transparency, I'm willing to go for it. I'll tell you what, I'll make a motion to continue it for the next city council meeting. I'll do my homework and we can.
We're already voting. We already
Okay,
vote.
so, all right.
We have a
Unless someone
first and
wants to-
second, we vote. You abstain. You can change the vote. Ms. Hurtado, you vote yes or no?
I think it's a waste of time. So I don't support having to waste any time. I think we should take our time right now to look at projects, economic development.
Okay.
And going back into this, I think it's a waste
Okay,
of
so
time.
yes or no?
No.
Thank you. You said no. Thank you. So you see, this is how council wants to transparency to the community. The community have to right now know so someone is playing the game.
Okay, so the motion, I'm sorry, it doesn't pass, correct?
It is
Okay.
passed because you abstain as a California law considered as a yes. Abstain is considered as a yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, abstentions count with the majority, whichever way it goes. So
So
What was it? It
two
was-
persons was a yes.
two said yes,
One
one
said
said
no.
no, one abstained, then the motion passes.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you.
We're done. Wow,
Okay,
we survived.
motion passed. Future agenda items. Is anybody's future agenda, President?
Who cares?
Okay, if we don't have a future agenda, we adjourn the meeting.
Somebody had a future agenda, didn't you have a future agenda item? Somebody's, you had a future agenda?
If you're missing the today, and you can request with written,
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's easier to do it today, but.
okay? The written, then,
No?
okay, we adjourn the meeting,
Okay.
8:36. No future agenda.